ask Charles Edwards to come up for a banner presentation. And while he comes up here, I'd like to share one that we did. It wasn't here, but at the Rotary Club of Muskogee, Brian Jackson and I, we did a banner exchange with the Rotary Club of Muskogee a few weeks ago at their meeting. So I wanted to share that with you. And how many of you know that we were chartered by the Rotary Club of Muskogee? Anybody? First Rotary Club in Oklahoma? Oklahoma City. Second Rotary Club in Oklahoma? Muskogee said second. And the third Rotary Club in the state of Oklahoma, the Rotary Club of Tulsa. There you go. Little Rotary history for today. Charles?
So I had the opportunity to go back to my home club where I was president and now past president, which is a great position to be in. And I would like to present this banner from the Rotary Club of Raleigh, which was the first Rotary Club in North and South Carolina back in 1914.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Very good. That's so much fun. And you guys remember, I've said this before, if you're going somewhere and you're going to visit another Rotary Club, let us know, let Tina know, and we can get you one of our club banners to take and exchange with them. It's a lot of fun. All righty, our Rotarian of the day. He really doesn't need an introduction. I should just let him come. I'm kidding. Our Rotarian of the day is a Paul Harris Fellow, a Club Foundation Fellow, and has been a member of our club for 36 years. He is a past president, a recipient of the James G. Sade Service Above Self and Then Some Award, and was the 2018-2019 Rotarian of the Year. And you heard in his Rotary Why that he is a passionate Rotarian, and we all benefit from that. Please welcome past president Chuck Wilson.
I think that's this tie. Can you put that back up, Miguel? Please? Is this a tie, same tie? I need to probably go out and do some tie shopping. Probably need to go do some tie shopping. My goodness, okay. Many of you have read Dr. Butterfield's resume. You know that she was a classroom teacher, first and second grade, for 10 years. 7 years in admin, and then another 7 as deputy superintendent. And now she is in her 11th year as superintendent of Jenks Public Schools. She was graduated from OSU and received her doctorate from OU, and you probably noted that she has been honored numerous times for her outstanding contribution to her field and to our community. But what you didn't see is she was a Charles Page High School Sandite. Maybe she can explain to us what a Sandite is. I've never understood that. Her dad spent years in retail in the insurance business, while her mom is a retired, guess what? Teacher. Dr. Butterfield wanted to be a teacher since the second grade. She only wavered once. While a junior in high school, she thought about accounting, but not for long. She returned to the Tulsa area upon graduation from OSU and accepted an offer to teach in Jenks. But here's what I really want you to think about. There are in excess of 12,000 students in the Jenks system. That means there are 12,000 parents or guardians grading virtually everything she does. And I can't even imagine some of the phone calls and emails. Can you feel the pressure? Yes. But you know what? I can assure you that the overwhelming number of students and parents are proud of the education offered by Jenks Public Schools under Dr. Butterfield's direction. When I asked her why teaching, here's what she said, quote, "I have a passion for young people and preparing students for life beyond high school," end of quote. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on the topic of how Jenks and others are preparing students to be workforce ready, I give you Dr. Stacy Butterfield.
So thank you. It's great to be here. I have to mention that, how many of you were at the Jinx graduation Monday night? So I have 3. And I might have heard, Mr. Ware, that you were debating on coming because you got to hear me Monday night. So why do I need to come back? But I promise you, my remarks are nothing like they were Monday night. We did graduate approaching 900 students on Monday evening out at Oral Roberts University, and it was a wonderful night to celebrate our seniors and their accomplishments, as well as those that have contributed to their success. And when we talk about success, I know Tiffany mentioned, the service that Rotarians do. And while I'm not a Rotarian, I really do have an appreciation for the mission that, Rotarians do around the world, from service and promoting integrity and also supporting education of our young people. Because when we support education of our young people, we're supporting the community. And I got to meet Jerry Dillon earlier before as lunch was beginning, and he made a connection to my own father, who was Rotarian, first at the Will Rogers Club and then Sand Springs for many years until he could no longer attend. And then my husband is a Rotarian. Randy was a longtime active member in the Southside Rotary group. So I really do have knowledge, firsthand knowledge and appreciation for what you do. So a huge thank you here at the beginning. When our guests were mentioned, Rob Labor is our Executive Director of Communications, and he is here with me, and I have to give, credit where credit is due to my communications department, and certainly the work that they do in preparing something like this presentation today. And then also Ms. Tracy Kennedy. She is one of our 5 school board members, and I know John Croissant is here, Tulsa school board member. But Tracy is one of 5 volunteers, and sometimes people don't realize that our school board members are unpaid, that they volunteer. All 5 of ours are educated individuals with careers of their own, and then they give of their service and their time to our school district. And their core responsibilities are, quite frankly, to hold me accountable, and they do that well, but to evaluate, hold me accountable, and then I will get to a couple of slides where they contribute directly, but then they also just keep watch over what we are doing, and they listen to the community. And when they hear concerns, they pass those along. When they hear moments of celebration, they pass those along too. But without our school board members volunteering their service, we would not be the same district. So that just gives you a vision of what they do for us, but what they're doing in all of our public schools across the state. So I am going to begin with just a district snapshot. If you live in the district, you have a picture of who we are. But if it's been a while since you had students graduate from Jinx, or you just really aren't familiar with Jinx, these are facts that will help you understand who we are. So again, class of 2024, you see the number there. Employees, we are the largest employer in the South Tulsa area, the Jinx area, 1,700 plus employees, and growing because of our districts and district size and our needs. And then you look at our departments, 16 departments that support what our students need, what our school sites need, and then the 10 school sites. Here's an enrollment overview of where we are today. 12,732 students as of May. You see our largest grade is 4th grade currently with just over 1,100 students. Our smallest grade right now happens to be kindergarten. That typically grows going into 1st grade because not everybody comes to the public kindergarten experience. And then you look at the bottom row there of our demographics. Our English language learners make up approximately, those are our students that English is not necessarily their first language. They make up approximately 13% of our student population. Special education students make up approximately 16%, gifted and talented 17%, and our free and reduced population, lunch population, and we say lunch, but technically we feed breakfast and lunch, is 44%. So 44% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunches. I think here is a great time to share, how many languages do you think are spoken in the Jinx district by our students? 35. 61. 61 different languages are spoken within the Jinx district. It just speaks to our diversity, and it speaks to also just the acquisition of a second language. You look here at our student ethnicity, and this gives you a picture of what our student population looks like. 46% white, 17% Asian, 14% Hispanic or Latino, 8% American Indian or Alaska Native, 8% who have selected 2 or more ethnicities, and then our Black and African American population is at 7%. We set the bar high in Jinx. And this current year, we have 11 National Merit finalists. You see the pictures of these students here on the screen. Last year, we had 20 National Merit finalists, and that was the highest number in the state. It is typically a double-digit number for us in Jinx, and these students represent the top 1%. And just to kind of put this in perspective, this year, they named 191 National Merit semifinalists across the state of Oklahoma, and 11 were in Jinx. And then you look at across the nation, approximately 16,000 semifinalists were announced, and 8,000 approximately were then declared finalists and will receive scholarships. Planning with a purpose, and this is one of those slides that I referenced that I would mention specifically about how the Jinx Board of Education and others contribute to this work. This district goals poster hangs in every single classroom and every single office, and I know some of you have probably participated in your organizations, whether those are your professional organizations or faith-based leadership groups, where you are working on goals, a vision for your company. And what I can tell you is that historically, this is a document that we work on a triennial basis. So every 3 years, we are then looking back at the past 3 years and saying, what have we accomplished? What do we need to continue to work on? And what do we need to add? What's something new that we need to focus on? And with that, we spend a whole year. So next year is the year that we will be working on this. And we get input from stakeholder groups. So when we talk about stakeholder groups, our employees are all given an opportunity to contribute. Students, and of course those student opportunities look different when you're talking about elementary versus our secondary students, but then also our community patrons, both those that have students in the district and those that just have a vested interest because their business is located in our district. And we bring people together. We also use surveys, and we get input as to what we need to be working on. Where are our gaps? We cannot rest on the laurels or the success of the past, but we always focus on continuous improvement. And ultimately, the school board and administration take a look at all of that input, and we funnel it down until we land at what our district goals will be for the next 3 years. And I can tell you a lot of our local districts do a similar process. You can see here, mission, vision, values, motto. And when we talk about values, sometimes I think some people think you put this plan together, you put it on a shelf, never to be discussed again. But what I can tell you is when, for example, on our values, our students, oftentimes our student groups are looking to create t-shirt designs or poster designs. And what we say is that we have an expectation that when that t-shirt is out in the public, it is representing our district. When that poster is out in the public, you are representing our community. And so if the theme, if the quote, if the words on that t-shirt or on that poster do not reflect our values, that idea gets sent back. And it is asked, you either rework it or it just doesn't happen, because that's how committed we are to our values for all of our students and our employees. I think another piece is important to mention is our 1,700 plus employees. When we are going through our annual evaluation process, each employee is looking at setting a goal. And we are expected to set our goals that align with the district goals. And so the idea is that we don't have people just randomly working on what they want to work on. There is an expected alignment with our mission and vision and our goals and the direction we're moving. Next is, our vision, a tradition of excellence with a vision for tomorrow is our quote that we have used for many years. And so this is this new vision. And a few years ago, as we were evolving out of the pandemic, we were looking at just hitting that reset and looking at what our students need to prepare them for the world in which they're going to live. And there was a book and an author that I came across that is titled Redefining Student Success, Building a New Vision to Transform Leading, Teaching, and Learning. And a couple of our school board members and I had attended a session listening to these authors, and we were just blown away by the opportunities that existed in this work. And so we came back to the district, and we're not alone in this. There are districts across this nation developing and working on a portrait of a graduate. And this is, again, a document that hangs in every classroom. It's in every office. And the way this document came together, and I know some of you in the back cannot read all of those. And so what the puzzle pieces represent are those skill sets that we want all of our graduates to obtain. That is an effective communicator, self-advocate, a problem solver, collaborator, resilient, and empathetic. And you think about your workplace environments and what you want in your employees. Well, we created multiple focus groups, and we brought in people who have kids in our district and who do not. We brought in faith-based leaders, nonprofit, for-profit, military. I mean, we tried to get a real cross-section. We asked members of higher ed, career tech, anyone that might have a reason to interact with our students while they're in school with us, but then also employ them when they graduate. And we asked, what is it that you are looking for? And that, from that work and funneling that down, is how we identified our our portrait of a graduate. Now, granted, when our teachers are working on delivering the curriculum, the state-adopted, Oklahoma standards and the curriculum that aligns with those Oklahoma standards, they are looking at how can we build into these skill sets. And that looks different for an 8th grader versus a 1st grader. And it looks different for that 3rd grader than it may a senior. But the idea is still, we want to be developing these skills as our students matriculate through the district. So beyond the classroom, I want you to think about how you traveled and transitioned to where you are today in your life, in your careers. And you think about who made an impression along the way and who helped support you to get you where you are or where you were prior to retirement. You look at what we're trying to do in today's world. We are trying to reframe what these experiences look like. And so when we talk about beyond the classroom, we are creating internships. And again, we're not alone in this work. But for us, we began this work in 2017, and we started off with 5 students, and we're now up to 110, that we find each semester, and I say that where we are finding an experience in the community where they can experience an internship. And what we say to our college recruiters, what we say to our business leaders, waiting until our students are in college to begin recruiting is too late with our young people today. They need to be seeing the opportunities that exist. And junior achievement, anybody familiar with junior achievement? I see some hands. Okay, junior achievement, I'm on their board, so I'll do a little plug here for them, a little shameless plug. But junior achievement is partnering with multiple school districts in the Tulsa, northeastern Oklahoma area, as well as Oklahoma City. And they are helping with this work. The idea is to find opportunities for students to go out and experience what they think they might want to do once they leave high school. And for some, it's a college trajectory. For others, it's career tech. For others, it may be an associate's degree. For others, military or straight to workforce. We are trying to help them navigate those experiences. We have had students participate in some of these internships, veterinary, architecture, construction, accounting, banking, even in our office, in communications, in the business office. And we've had students say, oh my gosh, I love this. This is exactly what I thought it would be, and this is what I want to do. We've had others say, oh wow, that is not what I thought it would be, and I don't want to do this. And as a result, we've had some parents reach out and say, thank you for saving us money, because he really thought he was headed off to OSU to study architecture. That's where he was headed until he did his internship. You have saved us money. So we're trying to create these experiences, because I don't know about you, but I mean, yes, Chuck Wilson shared, since I was little, I wanted to be a teacher, but I never, ever intended to be a superintendent. And I suspect some of you in this room were headed on a trajectory, a path on a career that may have gone a different direction than you expected. And that's what we're trying to help our kids see. Up, and away. When we talk about helping our kids see what they can be and looking at experiences that we can offer our students beyond the traditional classroom experience that some of us experienced back in the day, yes, there is a place for those classroom experiences where it's more lecture and then activities blended in. But there are also classes where you rarely have lecture. It's more project-based learning. This is an example of a program that we will be starting this fall. And I can tell you, Norman Public Schools is really on the cutting edge of some aeronautic programming for their students. We are starting out small. We're not the only district using this curriculum, but it's the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, and we will be offering electives that enable our students to chart a path towards becoming a pilot or working on unmanned aircraft systems. And we're excited about this program. Enrollment is already higher than what we expected. So in addition to the basics, the core subjects that we will absolutely be offering and requiring, they will then have an opportunity to pursue electives. Here's another experience that we have created. We're live, our Trojan TV, and here's an example of, Broken Arrow Public Schools has been doing this for several years. They are a larger district, more funding, more kids. We've been doing this on a smaller scale, but it really this year with a new instructor, Mason Prince, it's just grown immensely. But it's an opportunity for our students to learn what it means, what it takes, what is necessary to broadcast events within the district, sporting events and other events for our community. And then again, they can determine, is this something I might want to pursue beyond high school? Or am I enjoying it but not enough to pursue it as a career? So next year they will continue to expand and broadcast some more of our events across the district. International Scholars Program. This is an example of, again, an opportunity for our students that may have, they're typically higher academically inclined and have an interest in humanities, and they interview for this program and are then selected. They then have a host of activities, and while they are a select group within the high school, the work they engage in is shared across the high school with other clubs, with other classes, and then they also take the work they do and the research they do, and they take it out to our elementaries, in particular our intermediate sites, and they share this learning, and you see that role modeling between our older students and our younger students, and they take this learning out to our school sites, our younger school sites. You can see here we talk about our community partnerships with the Tulsa Committee on Foreign Relations. And then there's this immersive learning. They travel overseas, and this year they were supposed to go to a couple of different countries, and they got stuck in London longer than expected, and we all know how that can go with travel and flying. But they were overseas, spent some time in London, and then next year the trip has already been announced that they will go to Peru. And there are fundraisers. This isn't just for those students that have the financial means, but we also look for ways that we can support those financially who need that additional support to be able to participate. Similar to this, but a little different, is at our middle school. We have a global program at our middle school that is, part of it is focused on the humanities and the arts, and the other half of it is focused on the science aspects. And they too take a trip overseas. Kids apply, families, and they have their family support, but kids apply, they're selected. And again, we offer fundraising opportunities, and next year they just announced they'll be going to Ireland. And so our idea is to try to get our kids to see beyond just our immediate community, but the greater Oklahoma community, across the U.S., what does it mean to be a United States citizen and the benefits and the values that that brings, but then also what it means to be a global partner, what it means for the U.S. to be a global partner around the world. Next, Head Start and Higher Ed. This is where we and other districts partner with Career Tech, and we partner with TCC to offer concurrent enrollment through TCC, where our students can get college credit that will then help them be prepared, simply prepared, to go off to college or even work towards earning that associate's degree, take credits into college towards a bachelor's degree. We also then have pathways for our kids to follow through Career Tech. And how many of you are, well, let me ask this, does anyone in here work for Tulsa Tech? Okay. Some of you may be familiar with our Career Tech system, others may not. What I can tell you is what we have here in Oklahoma with our Career Tech system is like no other program in the U.S. Every state does it a little bit differently, but what we are able to offer in the PK-12 setting as a result of Career Tech, and there are centers all around the state. We happen to be, of course, part of Tulsa Tech. But we have some of their programs they offer on our campus, so our kids never leave the campus. But other students for specific programs leave our high school campus and go participate on various campuses around the greater Tulsa area that Tulsa Tech offers. So it's a great partnership. And in addition to a Head Start on Higher Ed, of course, our AP, Advanced Placement courses. And we look at those students, there are some that prefer to take that AP route, some that prefer to do the concurrent enrollment route, some that prefer Tulsa Tech, and others that have a different path. But the idea is we are trying to find a pathway that resonates with every single student, knowing it looks different for everyone. Interests are different. Building pathways. You have some pictures here of kids of all ages. And while much of the presentation has been about innovation and what we're trying to do to prepare our kids for the workforce, we know none of this work is possible without the foundation that is formed at the elementary level. And what I appreciate about each month we recognize at the Jinx School Board meeting, we recognize the accomplishments of our students and our staff members. And it's our favorite part of the meeting. And what I really appreciate about our secondary leaders, when they come and they are recognizing those secondary students, they are very quick to point out and to remind everyone that the work began in the elementary years. And without that work from our elementary teachers, what they accomplish as secondary students would not be possible. And what we also talk about in our community, which I'm very proud of, is the partnerships with our parents and the community. And what we say is, we cannot do what we do in Jinx without the support of our community, without the support of our parents. And yes, there are high expectations, and yes, sometimes it's difficult to reach some of those high expectations, but we always continue to strive to meet those expectations because, again, who benefits? Our young people. So on this, and when we talk about building pathways, our students are able to participate in BizTown with Junior Achievement, in the Career Fair and the JA Inspire program that's for our 8th graders where they do career exploration. Then we also have JA Finance Park that's for our freshman students. And so along the way, there are opportunities for our kids to participate in skill building and understanding of what is ahead of them and what lies ahead in opportunities. Discovery Lab and STEM nights, we can take our kids to the Discovery Lab, but then our school sites offer STEM nights where we bring and invite our parents in to come participate in activities with our kids to see what they are doing at school, but then also get ideas about what they can be doing with their own children at home. And then the last bullet item here, talks about bond dollars, provide technology and equipment to all of our students. And again, that speaks back to what I said about the community partnerships. We are fortunate that in our district, our patrons have approved the last 60 of 61 bond issues. And so when you look across the Jinx district, when you look at the facilities, those facilities exist because of the expectations of our community, what they have communicated they expect, they want for their children, their students, and then again, what they're willing to support with their vote. And so we do strive. We have a bond issue task force. Again, we do nothing in isolation. We have a bond issue task force where we bring in anywhere from 70 to 100 people on an annual basis. They listen to presentations about the needs that we have and what we are presenting as something that's an immediate need or something that might be something we are visualizing for 5 years from now. And that bond issue task force goes through and they rank those items that are presented. That input and from that task force is then presented to our school board. And our school board then ultimately ranks the items for the bond election and decides whether or not this will be on this bond issue or if it will wait for a future bond issue or if, you know what, that's just not a priority right now for us and we're going to set it off to the side. But without the support of our district, we would not have the facilities we have. And from a state of Oklahoma budget perspective, we were one of 4 states, only 4 states that the legislature did not offer funds for capital expenditures to school districts across the state until 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, our elected leaders passed the Red Bud Act. And the Red Bud Act actually now funds some of these capital expenditures across the state for multiple districts. Just sharing a little bit there as to, because some people will say, well, why isn't that district building this? Or why isn't that district doing this? Each community is different, and each community makes decisions for themselves. Fortunately, though, now, we are a state that receives some funding and some of those districts that may have had trouble passing a bond or they don't have the bonding capacity in order to do some of the things they need to do to replace air conditioning, HVAC systems, to repair roofs. They can now do that with these Red Bud funds. And so that was a really a positive thing. Jinx did not receive funds initially. We are supposed to receive some funds this year from that fund. And here I will say in closing, a place for everyone. That really is our vision, is that we are a place for all of our students. And we take immense pride in, yes, celebrating the accomplishments of individual students, of our teams. We also take immense pride in our Special Olympians, who they may not compete on that 6A football championship team, or they may not compete with the swimmers and our state swim team, but they do compete in their events. And what is so incredible was it was just a week ago, when we, oftentimes when we send our teams off to their state competitions, whether that's vocal music, whether it's a sport, oftentimes our cheerleader or pom, our drum corps, band members are out there on the oval of the high school. And they are cheering and they are playing music and the fight song and they are sending our kids off to competition. Well, they began doing that same thing now several years ago for our Special Olympians because they too are representing and competing for us. And we are a place for all where we educate all of our students. So from our pre-K kids to those seniors that graduated on Monday night, we are invested in all of them and believe they all have a place in Jinx. So, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. Oh, good. Okay. I saw. Yes, ma'am.
Many people here know that my husband and I are political refugees from the state of California, but they do some things right. I was a teacher there, a high school English teacher, and have an administrative credential. And I was in charge of the accreditation process. They don't accredit the district, they accredit the schools, and they have a 3 to 5 year accreditation depending on how good or bad your previous report was. And it's like a several month process. You have a team in the school working with the teachers, working with the parents. You have an accreditation team that then comes for about a week visit and they do all sorts of questionnaires and so forth, and they evaluate your goals and your progress and so forth, and you get a 3 to 5 year accreditation. I was shocked when I came to Oklahoma and saw the accreditation process. That process in California does take the politics out of it, and I'm wondering if there's any move, or has been any movement, to improve the accreditation system in the state of Oklahoma.
So yes, there was. So I was fortunate to serve on Superintendent Hoffmeister's advisory committee. And during her tenure as state superintendent, she deployed a red tape task force, is what it was referenced as. And through that process, the idea was to try to figure out what we can streamline, what can we take the red tape off and streamline and make it a more efficient and effective process, whatever the topic may be. Accreditation was one of those. And there was a pilot program in 2019-2020 to try to look at doing accreditation differently. Jinx was one of a couple of handfuls of districts across the state that volunteered to participate in that. And we were really excited and saw some great potential. And I will say, along the way during her tenure, there were other pieces that she and her staff peeled back, if you will, the layers of the onion and said, okay, that's repetitive, we don't need to do that. That really doesn't make sense because we really captured over here that's a duplication of duty and effort on everyone's part, both at the local district as well as the State Department. So those things happened. Back to the pilot program, 2019-2020, you'll remember what happened, in the spring semester of 2020. And so once that happened, we have not gone back to that pilot, and that pilot has now been shelved. So right now, there is not anything going on to try to streamline that. In fact, what I can tell you is that there are other pieces that have been added to that process this year that some of us would say are really a duplication of efforts and not necessary when you look at how other states run their accreditation process, not just California. Back during Hoffmeister's tenure, we looked at how other states were doing accreditation. So it's a cumbersome process in Oklahoma that could be improved. Necessary, it's necessary. We want to be held accountable. I think sometimes people think we don't want to be held accountable. We want accountability. We need accountability, but it could be improved.
As a Jinx dad and a huge fan of our current superintendent, please give us advice as parents, grandparents, business leaders on how we can better support our school systems. What are things we can do, practical, sensible, easy, that you see that we can go into our schools and help with or support?
I think it begins first with your own kids and grandkids. If you're supporting them, they're better prepared, and that's where it starts. And in today's society, I don't know of a more challenging role than that of being a parent. I don't. And our parents need our help from the grandparents, the aunts and uncles. It takes everyone working together. So there's that piece. That's the foundation. And then when we get into the schools, there are definitely times where I know they're asking for volunteers for this event and that event. And, try to volunteer. And it's not possible. Some people cannot get off work, limited time off, and we understand that. But if you make it a goal, a priority, to at least one time come up to the school, have lunch with your child, come to an event with your child, you see kids beam when they see that family member come into the room. They need to know we care. They need to see that we care. And then, sometimes it's just as simple as a teacher needs help getting some materials cut out. Say to the teacher, you send things home in that backpack and I'll cut out for 2 hours sitting in front of the TV. It can be simple. And then there are also, oftentimes our schools, especially in this area, have foundations. We have the Jinx Foundation, and I will tell you, they donate about $500,000 to Jinx Public Schools annually right now. And it makes a difference. We're able to carry out some programs that we would otherwise have to put to the side if not for those donations. And so when there's an opportunity, every dollar helps. If there's an opportunity to donate, donate. And then lastly, I would say, when you see an opportunity to vote, get out and vote. Exercise your right to vote.
Thank you. Jonathan Haidt is out with a new book called The Anxious Generation.
Isn't that the one with the yellow cover with all the
The
balls
kid
on?
with the smartphone. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
I've not read it yet. It's on my phone. It's on my list of books.
Yeah, please do. I hope everybody does. I think it's something, I'm hopeful that it's something that we'll look back on in 10 years and be like, that was a turning point, something we kind of rallied around for collective action. It's basically about the psychological harm done to all of us, but especially young people, by the overuse of technology, namely social media, particularly image-based social media, video games, and pornography. And so my question to you is, are Jenks Public Schools phone-free? And if not, do you have a plan to do so? And also, if you are phone-free, what does that mean? Because obviously, being allowed to be in their pocket, but they're not supposed to have it out, is much less effective than it being locked away. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So our current policy is that they are put away during class unless they are specifically given permission for a project. They are supposed to be put away. And I am one personally who believes in they need to be put away. It is a continual challenge to monitor that, but it is an expectation for our students. We are not phone-free, but there are certainly discussions. And in fact, whoops, I don't need to see, you all don't, oh, maybe he has me up there. I thought it was on the thank you too. I don't need to see myself. Okay. I thought I hit that. Okay, so one of our board members saw these pockets, and they're called Yonder, Y-O-N-D-E-R, pockets. And you put the cell phone in it, and it's locked for the day. And then as you leave out of the building, there are these mechanisms on the wall where you touch the wall with the pocket, and it unlocks the phone, and then the student has access to it. So we did a lot of research into that approximately 10, 11 months ago. It's just cost prohibitive. Just couldn't believe it, cost prohibitive. They're a company out of Australia. We found a company in the U.S., but then because of the proprietary licensing out of Australia, they could not do it here in the U.S. Anyway, it was one thing after another. We ran into roadblocks, set that idea off to the side. I continue to see the research, and we continue to look at it in our district about what is happening, exactly what you're saying. We also balance. There are those parents who say, don't you dare take my child's phone. I need to be able to reach my child at any time of the day. Don't you dare. And then we have the parents, and like the email I got just this morning, and I found out from my sister-in-law probably because I thought, I wonder why this parent is asking me this about cell phones right now today. Well, there was a story on, I guess, the Today Show this morning about cell phones. And the Today Show has been doing a whole lot of research and presentation of stories about what you're just saying, about the anxious generation and what these cell phones are doing to our kids and to us as adults too, but especially our young people. And there are parents that want us to explore that and want us to be phone-free. We're not there yet, but do I think that there is momentum growing? Yes. I heard a report and driving up and down the turnpike between the Capitol and talking about why schools are reluctant to just make this decision. And it's true. I mean, we are here to serve our constituents, and there's such a wide range of opinions on this topic. And we need more parents getting on board with this idea in order to just make it a blanket decision. But it is definitely something we're exploring, and we are seeing progress with, we're seeing momentum, I shouldn't say progress, we're seeing momentum growing. Yes, sir.
To my fellow Rotarian, as the state's largest provider of internet and cell phones, I will take no offense to that question. No, I'm kidding. Cox actually agrees and believes in responsible phone use. If we actually have training courses, we'll look forward to sharing with you and examples from other parts of the country. I have two quick questions. Number one, it is my recollection, you mentioned English as a second language for so many, that Jenks is very unique in our community because you have a very large Burmese population. Enlighten us a little bit on the unique nature of that community, because I know it's a very tight-knit community, and any special challenges and how many come in with English skills. The second question, totally unrelated and much more fun, is related to Trojan football, and I would comment, speaking of internet and television, that last year's Jenks-Bixby game beat out every network on the dial, including ESPN last October, and ABC and CBS, and we're hoping for that again this year. So, two questions. So, how is Jenks football shaping up?
Jenks football will be outstanding again this year. I'm not supposed to say anything different than that, am I? That's what we say about all of our activities, all of our sports. So our Burmese population, several years ago now, families that were being persecuted and, for religious reasons in their home countries, they were being relocated. And Catholic Charities here in our area was was instrumental in helping with facilitating this relocation. So our community was designated as one of the relocation places. And so, as is oftentimes the case, we received a few families, and then they start talking to other families, and we start getting more families, and that number just has grown. It's one of the reasons that when you look at our student numbers that I presented earlier and the 17% Asian population, they have certainly contributed to that growth. They are very invested in education. They are very invested in the community, supporting their kids, supporting us, and there are other organizations that have stepped up along with Catholic Charities to support these families and these refugees. We are now, they've been with us so long that we are now getting second generation families. And here's a wonderful story. We had two young ladies who made their way through Jenks Public Schools. They, of course, spoke no English when they came to us, when their family was relocated. And they graduated from Jenks. They went off to college. They came back. They graduated from college last year. They came back. They said before they left high school they wanted to be teachers. They came back last summer after college graduation. We hired both of them, and they are teaching at one of our elementaries. So our kids can see teachers who look like them. It's a great story. So thank you. Last question, Mr. Dillon.
Okay.
Sorry, John Croissant. You can
In
get me
part
later.
response to the father of the Jenks, I would like to ask you the question, do you have any idea about how many children do not have fathers involved in their school?
I do not have that number, but I can tell you that there are many single parent families.
Yeah.
But I don't have that data point that I can share.
Well, having grown up without a dad, and I know you are blessed to have a dad that loved you, as I heard that.
Yes.
To me, the elephant in the living room of the United States are fatherlessness. So a house without a roof is like a dad without the children. So last week in Dallas, there was a dad's breakfast at a middle school, and they asked for dads to come to the breakfast. There were only 60 children whose dads showed up. So they put out a request on text message. Over 600 volunteer men from all walks of life came. So I just want to encourage whatever way that you and your school staff and board might be able to help raise the expectation of fathers to be involved in their children's lives.
Thank you. That is a wonderful story. I can tell you years ago, we started Donuts for Dads, Donuts with Dads, Dynamic Dads. It's been named a couple of different things. As we began to try to get healthier, we dropped the donuts. So it's Dynamic Dads. But also what I can tell you is as we have evolved over the years, We also, when we do the moms group or we do the dads group, we also say grandparents, uncles, big brothers, we try to expand the idea for that male role model, and they can all have different titles, all have different roles in a young person's life, but that male role model and the importance of that, and then also the female role model. It can be moms, grandmas, aunts, trying to expand and and trying to role play what that involvement can look like, and it can look different for different kids, but the last thing we want, and we've had administrators go and coaches go, the last thing we want is for a child to not have somebody there. It's been a pleasure, it's an honor. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your time.
Dr. Butterfield, thank you so much for being with us today. As I listened to all of this, I remember I loved school. I absolutely loved school all the way through, kindergarten through grad school. I didn't love all of the grad school work, but most of all of school I loved. And I'm a proud Edison graduate. Ooh, yep. That's right. But you know what? We didn't have anything like this when I was in school, which was quite some time ago. Man, the opportunities and the support and how much fun. So great credit to you and your team for all that you're doing for our students in the Jinx community. Thank you for that. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton, and this week's book is We Don't Eat Our Classmates. And I was super curious about this, so I read through it while I ate my lunch up here at 11 o'clock, and it's about a little T-Rex that goes to school and does indeed try to eat his fellow students, realizes it's not easy to make friends that way. Long story short, he sticks his finger, little bitty finger, into the goldfish bowl and gets it bitten and realizes why it's no fun to eat your friends, because it's no fun to get bit either. So anyway, it's a great story. We'll be donating. I recommend it for everybody. Upcoming programs, May 29th, which is next Wednesday, is our fifth Wednesday, Service Above Self Day. You have two opportunities. Please sign up on DAC-DB. You can either go to the Day Center or to the Catholic Charities grocery store, I believe it is, and work and hang out. Remember, this is officially a meeting. It's just not here, so don't come here next week, okay? June 5th, Mark Fry, the CEO of the Tulsa Performing Arts Center, will be our presenter. June 12th, our Attorney General Gettner Drummond will be here. June 19th, our Rotary International Zone 31 Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator, Pamela Stewart, will be here, traveling all the way from Louisiana to be with us that day, and we'll recognize our Paul Harris Fellows that day as well. And then June 26th, can you believe it, is our last meeting of the Rotary year, and it's the last time you'll have to sit out there and listen to me talk. So we hope that you'll join us for all. Hey, Barney, I saw your hand go first. I think he should pay a fine for that. That was just not nice. Anyway, upcoming events, again, our dinner tomorrow night at MK Bistro. June the 4th, your last coffee with me as your president. I do believe Daniel's going to host some of these as well. It'll be on June the 4th, 7 to 9 a.m., double shots. Swing by, have some coffee. Special thanks to our gold sponsors, Weeby Trees, Tim Knoll, Max Electric Supply, Jack McGlumphy, Coldwell Banker Select, Sheree Gardner, Ken McConnell CPA, and OK Ethics, Mary Lytle. To this week's silver sponsors, J.D. Young, Doug Stewart, Moore Funeral Home, Joe Moore, Trust Company of Oklahoma, Michael Hairston. And to this week's bronze sponsors, Argent Trust Oklahoma, Harvey Rowe and Kenny Brown, Terracon, Mike Homan, TTCU Federal Credit Union, Dan Newberry, and Yale Cleaners, Bill and John Rothrock. I want everybody join me, and I didn't see Daniel here today, but please join me in prayers and good wishes for Daniel, who leaves tomorrow for Singapore to attend our Rotary International Convention, so we'll look forward to his stories. I want to wish you all a safe and reflective Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for being here today. Go and create hope in the world through service above self. We are adjourned.